I think the first and most obvious question, are you enjoying yourself here at MCM, and do you enjoy these events and meeting fans of things?
I do like to meet the fans. This one I just got started actually, so we had a bit of a delay getting here, and then so we haven't really gotten going because then we broke for lunch and photos, but yeah, I do like meeting the fans. And this is one that I signed up and wanted to do for several, earlier, the first part of the year, and I was looking forward to coming. So far, so good.
When fans are lucky enough to get to meet you, I'm sure that you often get the same questions again and again. There are certain things that people always want to talk about. What are the most common things people ask about?
Mel Brooks.
I mean,
that's the thing. Is did you like working with Mel Brooks? Tell us some stories. What was it like, John Candy? Basically, Spaceballs questions. Those are the fans that come here. Yeah. So, which I'm thrilled to talk about. And in fact, it's because I've started to do these that I'm reminded about doing the movie. And I remember how fun it is. And stories do come back to me, that I had forgotten. So it's really kind of through their real love of the movie, I've gotten familiar with it again. And I remember how much fun it was for me to do and how I was really lucky to be a part of that movie and all those comic geniuses, and just to be with that cast was amazing.
Talking about Mel, obviously he is for so many people a beloved comedy icon. Can you talk a little bit about what you think it is as a storyteller and as a comedian that distinguishes him, that gives him that kind of iconic, larger-than-life status for so many people?
Well, Mel has a pure love, just a love for, I think, people, the connection that, his mind is so quick, Plus, he says things that maybe people think and don't say. And I do know that while we were shooting Spaceballs, Mel always said, it's for the kids, And his humor is like that. It's very silly. It's very, remedial in many ways. It's very, and so it brings that out in all of you and in all of us. So, I think there's something that's so sort of, it's not cerebral. He's not cerebral, where we as adults can get so in our heads about things. Mel comes along and so it's a combination of really loving to express and express himself, loving to connect with the audience and people. I remember being at dinners with him in a restaurant and, wanting to protect him because everybody would come up. And he'd say, no, it's fine. Like, this is, he really loved that connection, and so much that none of us got to talk to him during dinner. So all the guests, all the fans would come up, and he loved it, and he just loves that. And he has a real youthful energy, even now at this age. The last I heard, he was headed to Vegas to do a one-man show, and then New York, and he was producing in London the play of Young Frankenstein. He's rumored about another Spaceballs. The guy is busy. So there's a lot of wonderful youthful energy there that is infectious, I think.
The Schwartz is strong in that one.
The Schwartz is strong.
Obviously, you mentioned John Candy as well. For so many people, such a big part of our childhood, such a again, beloved figure.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, maybe just some of your happiest memories from what I would imagine is a very fun time on set with Spaceballs?
Yeah, it was so much fun. And again, John is someone who I remember loving just being there. He was very supportive. I was new at it. Bill Pullman was new at it, and separately in our own way. And his own way with each of us. He was very supportive and like, come to me if you need anything, or I think, he'll talk with Bill. And so there's just that kind of good person. There was just that, which I know people felt through his performances, because everyone feels that about him, even though, you haven't met him, you still feel like you can tell there's a goodness there. And what I experienced, there really, really was.
Talking about goodness, Spaceballs is one of those rare films that, some films have a couple of classic lines, a couple of memorable scenes. In Spaceballs, it's every few seconds there's something hilarious and something memorable. I'm curious if you have your favorite moments, your favorite punchlines, or your favorite portions of the film.
No, I mean, of course I love the part where he shoots my hair and I get to mow everyone down like Rambo, which is my fans' favorites too. So that's great. Every other line. The hardest thing about shooting that movie was keeping a straight face, because I was a straight person. I had to be all serious. And I had to be very serious when I was saying room service, and very serious when I was saying it's my industrial strength hairdryer and I can't live without it. That takes, preparation to say all of my lines. I had to be so serious, but I loved it. I was just starting out in the business, probably 3 years in, and I was like so lucky, So those are some of my lines. Every time I do one of these, fans are telling me more lines, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got to say that too. So the whole thing was amazing. It was like being in this whirlwind of comedy. Like there it was in my 20s, just going like, Rick Moranis is saying stuff and he's coming up with new stuff. John Candy can't stop cracking us up right before the camera's rolling. And I'm like, John, please, I have to be serious. And he'd still be doing his thing and waggling the ears and stuff before we're about to roll. And, Mel is coming up with stuff. And the whole thing was it was really great. It was a really great memory.
I guess, my final question, I think, before we get back to stuff here, obviously fans know that film so intimately, all these lines. I'm curious, are there any things that either didn't make it into the film or just memories from set that you think, when people watch the film, it would enhance or change their experience of the film if they knew that, if they'd been there, if they knew what almost made it or what happened?
Well, I remember, again, with all those comic geniuses, there was always... they were always coming up with new stuff. Mel was open to that. That's what comedy is. It's just generated from the moment. And so he and Rick, I remember, were coming up with a bit in the doctor's office when they were going to give me back my old nose. And we were spending hours, and I was, of course, spitballing with them and like, hey, what about this? And they'd go, oh, that's so... No, princess, you just be the princess. And I didn't know, it's that kind of naivete to think that you could actually come up with stuff with Mel and Rick. But at any rate, they built this whole thing about these doctors, and then a bit about golfing, and I got to go golf. And I don't know, it went on and on and on. And an hour later, Mel just said, you know what, it's too much. We're going to bring it all back down to the originally what I wrote. That's better. And so it was kind of like that. I remember a lot. So things would build and then be brought back and then, refined so it was just fascinating being in the process and watching it all happen.
It's been amazing talking to you, and thank you for being the perfect Jewish princess.
Thank you. Thank you very much.